Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creators Spotlight. Here, we highlight the stories of beautiful souls who transformed their lives and now chose to help other people transform their lives too. I am Stella, your host. If you're new to our channel, please take a moment to subscribe. Watch this video, let us know your thoughts, and stay with us until the end of this episode. Today, we have an amazing guest, Karl. He transformed his life from the depths of addiction to a path of purpose, determination, and empowerment and sobriety as well. So I'm super happy to have Karl here with us. Welcome, welcome, Karl.
Hi, Stella. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here because I know your story is very inspiring, and I also know that your story is now helping so many other people really change their lives, their routines, and actually improve everything within and around them as well. So, can you tell us how, if you remember how your life was before sobriety, how would you describe that time of your life?
It it wasn't the best. If I could describe it in one word, it would be existence. That's basically all I was doing. Um, my daily routine would be I would get up on the morning around 4:30, um, highly hungover, um, go downstairs. I would drink probably 3 or 4 cups of coffee just to try and get me going, and then I'd go to work around 6 o'clock, and by 3 o'clock when I finished work, that was my time then to go straight to the pub. And then from 3 o'clock through till closing time, that's when I would spend all my evening in the pub drinking. Um, I was drinking anything from 12 to 15 pints of lager a day at the end, which is massive consumption, and that was every day. Um, Still getting up and going to work. I never really classed myself as being alcoholic, but I think in the end I realised that I was what they class as probably a functioning
Mhm.
alcoholic. I was able to I was able to get up, never miss a day of work or anything, get up and go and do my job. But at the end of the day, I just needed to go and get my fix of alcohol, and that's what I do. And I never felt it was I never felt it was different or I were out of the norm
Mm.
from other people, because it'd be the same people that I'd go and sit with in the pub on an evening. So we were all doing the same thing.
Mm.
Yes, they went home a little bit earlier than me sometimes, but we were all doing the same thing. So it just felt like a normal thing to do. It wasn't anything out of the norm. But I think the biggest thing that happened was when my daughter was born in 2012. Um, 14 months afterwards, me and her mum split up. That sent me into a really dark spiral. Um, and I wasn't I wasn't functioning as a parent. I was only co-parenting. I was only doing it on a weekend. I was only there for a couple of days a week picking her up from nursery. But I was never there. And I I lived at my parents then at the time, and there was a sofa in the room, and I used to just lay on the sofa. She'd be playing around me at 2 year
Mm.
old, and I just wasn't there. I was just always looking up. There were a clock right in front of me, and I'd always be looking at that clock, thinking, right, it's now 4 o'clock. In a couple of hours, she'll be going. I'm taking her home, and then I can go to the pub. And that's all I do. I just clock watch. That's what we called it. Just clock watching until it was time to go home.
Mhm.
And as soon as she went home, that was my time to go to the pub. And yeah, it got really dark towards the end.
Mhm.
I'd had blackouts in the past. they were starting to come more regular. I remember one time I walked into the pub. I think it was either a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. One of the guys looked at me and he says, "You need to apologise to my wife. Um, say thank you, in fact." And I was like, "Okay, why? What happened?" This is well, last night, yeah, or yesterday evening, you'd gone home. She came in and asked where you'd gone. I said you'd gone home, and she says, "Oh, I better just go and check, make sure he's got home all right." And
Mm.
she left in the car, um, went on the road that had taken me back to my house, and she found me in the middle of a junction, passed out, and she struggled to pick me up and get me into the car. I was not, yeah, I never knew about it until the next day, and
Mm.
that was that were awakening moment to start with, I think. And I think subconsciously that started to play in my mind that I was laid out in the middle of the road, unconscious to a point, and anything could have happened.
Wow.
It were a busy junction.
And it is so good to know that you have this kind of people around you who would really stop and really pay attention to what you're going through. And it sounds like two completely different lives as you were talking about you going to work, really functioning, really doing all the things that you had to do, and then immediately immerse yourself into a different reality. And it's interesting you mentioned about living in like something that feels normal. It is about there is someone called Gabor Mate, and he talks about this, and he wrote a book, incredible book about normality, and he was mentioning that what is normal for someone is not normal for someone else, and then different people there live their own reality. And so in order to change your reality, I guess you just have to, like you did, you became aware of what's happening. And I think with a lot of challenges for a very long time, we might struggle to say, oh, actually, that's what's happening there, and what's happening is not good, until, life will bring you into situations and moments to kind of wake you up. But even then, it's your choice to want to wake up, because from there you could have said, oh, that's not a big deal. I can continue in the same way, but you chose to pay attention. So, what did you start to pay attention to from that moment?
I felt I was affecting more people than just myself. Uh, my father, bless him, my father's 83 now, and he were my biggest. He's my biggest supporter, along with my wife. He's my biggest supporter for getting sober, because he just watched me destroy my life for so many years, and he hated it. His son just killing himself with drink, and he used to say to me every day, like, when if he dropped me off at the pub, or if he picked me up, like, especially more when he used to drop me off, he'd say, "Don't go and drink as much as what you did last night." And just as you were saying there, I come back to what you were saying about it's got to be your choice. It's got to be you. No matter how many times over how many years he said that to me, it was more a red rag to a bull
Mm,
for me. It was, well, I'm going to have one more than what I did last night. I'm going to come home in a worse state than what I did last night, because you're telling me not to come home in a worse state. Almost like a petulant child that won't obey to what you're saying. And yeah, I think really realizing that I was hurting people was a start of a change. And my daughter, you know, like I was getting told from my siblings that you're not there for her. You bring her down, and mum does everything, and that was those little voices in your head. I, I call most of them demons, and that's what I was trying to with the drink. I was trying to sort of like drown those demons, and they went quiet after 3 or 4 pints. But they'd wake up on a morning and they'd be shouting louder and louder and louder because they hadn't been heard that night. So they were always there, and that's when, yeah, I think when I realised it was hurting and affecting more and more people, that may well have been a sign. I still I still never can pinpoint exactly why I made that change that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think we'll probably talk about that a little bit further on when it happened, but I really don't know why it happened. And we've spoke before, Stella, and this is intuition and fate, I've since getting sober, I have become more spiritual, not to a god or anything else, just more of a universal kind of feeling. Like I'm going a little bit cold sat here right now, so it's that sort of thing. I feel like there is a presence around me and a guidance, and maybe what happened and not knowing that it wasn't a conscious decision. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it was a subconscious decision, and it was just a guidance that said, right, this is the time that's up. Your time for drinking is up, and this is it. And that's probably why can't think of any reason why I
Mm.
stopped drinking.
But then you had a very interesting moment in 2016 when that was it. Like, you know that from that moment, there is no turning back. And can you talk about that moment for a bit? Like, what
Yeah.
happened there?
Yeah, so leading up to it, 2016, I tried to go sober for um, dry January. I'd done quite a few dry Januaries, and I extended it in 2016. And then something really bad happened. My I went on a date that really like rejected me, and and that really hurt. And I had a 3 month period from mid-March until June 2016 where I really hit the drink hard. I felt like everything was over. Everybody was rejecting me, and everybody was pushing me away. And there were a couple of things that happened. I remember watching a TV show um, called Drinking to Oblivion with Louis Theroux,
Mhm.
where it focused on, I think it was three separate people that were drinking to excess. And at the end of that show, one of the guys had got himself sober. So I don't know if that subconsciously been playing in my mind watching that show. And then the main point, the one point that I actually remember where I said, "This is the day where I'm going to try and seek out some sort of help," was I was driving in my lorry. Um, Obviously raised quite high lorries as above, and when I was going down the motorway, I just looked out to the side of me, and all cars are coming past, and they look like little micro cars, as as they're going past you, and I just thought, if one of those cars hits me and it don't have to be my fault. I can be in my lane and doing everything. If one of those cars just clips me, and it don't have to be major, we're on a motorway, the police are gonna come. I'm gonna get breathalyzed because it's a road traffic accident. I know that I'm way over the limit for driving, and that's gonna be everything gone. My daughter, that's gonna be a hard thing to for her mother to be able to say, yeah, you're a responsible adult. Um, there could have been there could have even been jail time because of it. Um, license gone, job gone, career gone, everything just gone in that moment, and it would not have even been my fault. Um, and that's what made me think. And that day, I remember as soon as I got to my first drop, I thought I'm going to look something up. And surely, because as I said previously, I never felt myself as being an alcoholic. I thought I can't look into AA because that don't sit right with me because I haven't got a problem like that. Um, but I thought it was the time in 2016 there were blogs going on and it were quite big and that were all starting to come through. And I thought so there's got to be someone out there that's posting about them being sober and how it's changed their lives, for instance, like someone who can just give me a bit of guidance. And I found this one guy, he'd written a PDF and put it online, and it it was him and a friend that used to work in the city of London, go out every night drinking, entertaining clients. And it was reading their story that they stopped alcohol for a full year and reaped all these benefits. I thought, if these guys can do it, then possibly I could.
Mm,
And look at what they're benefiting from it. And it were the benefits, I think, that were outweighing what I were feeling. That everything, I had nothing, as I said before, I was just existing.
yeah.
So I thought maybe I could have a bit of that. And that evening, I did my normal routine and went to the pub, stood there drinking, and the first time in a very, very long time, as I was reading this PDF, I had a pint in my hand. I was leant up against a gambling machine, and I had a pint in my hand, and I was reading this PDF, and I just like put the drink down and phone away, got in my car, drove home, sat down, and read the whole PDF, and pressed like send, register. I mean, it were almost like, yeah, I'm doing this. And their challenge, their way of doing it at that time was a challenge of 30 days, 90 days, or a year of going sober. I never felt I could do a year. I'd done plenty of dry January, so I signed up for 90 days. And the guys were doing memorabilia, like merchandise at the time.
Mhm.
And they had two t-shirts that they were selling. One was a 90-day t-shirt and one was a year t-shirt, 1 year like congratulations t-shirt. And I bought the 90 days because I thought, right, I'm in. I'm gonna go for 90 days and that's what I want to do. And I bought the t-shirt for 90 days. Here we go. I've got it and I've got to do 90 days now because I bought into it. And I opened the box and inside there were a note, and the note said, um, we know that you've signed up for the 90 days and you've ordered a 90-day t-shirt, but please accept this 1 year t-shirt free from us because we believe that you will make it to a year. And
Wow.
the God, it still gets me. I don't know how many times I told that story, and every time it gets me, and I think it comes down. Like it does. It always comes down to this one word: believe.
Yeah.
It was the first time in what I could feel like my adult life. Sorry, God, in my adult life that anyone had believed in me, and
Mm.
I think I'd had so much rejection in that previous 12 months that for someone to say I believe in you just made me feel I just grew. And they had a community, and it were only small at the time. It were a tiny community. Now it's got hundreds of thousands of people in it. But at the time, it was a small community, and I had such a connection with at least 15, 20 people on that. And the journey that we went on, like 15, 20 of us over the space of 2 years had got sober and have stayed sober. And yeah, they drove me on that belief, and then once I'd got to a year, it were like I can't ever see myself going back to this. Why would I? Because things just progress.
Started changing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And oh, wow, this is absolutely incredible. And yes, sometimes when you're so deep into something that you're struggling with, it helps so much when you receive this guidance from other people around, because then in another point in your life, you can be that guidance for another person. And I always say, as Ramdas said, like we are walking each other home through this lifetime. This is what's happening. We are constantly helping each other. And that's why when we're opening our hearts, we really are present for the world around us. Things happen, miracles happen. And I can absolutely tell by how you're talking about is that you'll never forget that experience and those people who believed in you first, to then like to believe in you long enough until you started to believe that you can actually do it yourself. And there was because we had some conversations, and I found this is really, really inspiring. The fact that you then chose something to motivate you, and that was running. Um, why did you decide to do that? And I know that something interesting happened once you chose to express this into the world. Would you like to share that with us?
yeah. Running has started at the start of 2016. I signed up to a 10K because I was, like I said, I was doing dry January, and I thought that'll be a good thing for me to do, which is try and get my fitness out. I think 2016 was a massive pivotal point for me. And so when I quit drinking in June 2016, I started running even more, and I got to a point where I was running half marathons, lots of 10Ks, half marathons, and I even signed up to do a marathon. Um, and because I got into running, it then transitioned into someone saying, "Oh, you should join a running club," but I didn't really have many running clubs around me, so I joined a triathlon club. And through the triathlon club, there's a book, there's a Bible, and I'm if I throw myself into something and immerse myself into something, I've got to do it to the extreme. So it's like I bought this book called the Bible, and I don't read, and it's called the Triathlon Bible, and I used it to help me progress with my running, and it did. Off the back of this book, there was also a thing called Training Peaks, which is a platform where coaches can build training programs. So by 2017, late 2017, I'd been in this triathlon club. I'd read this book. I was doing all this other stuff, and I'd got into Training Peaks, and I started learning how to build training plans. And I thought, I've learned so much. I want to give it back to people. And one of the things I thought of is like people are not going to want to run 10Ks or half marathons like I'm doing. They want to run, just start running. So I started building a couch to 5K plan, and I was selling it on my community. Um, Only earns a minimal fee. Take people from zero running to running 5K within 2 months. So nothing drastic. It was just slow process. And it started going well. So in 2018, I started extending it, and I thought if I can go onto other platforms that are sober communities, and I didn't like doing it. It felt really wrong that I were going to go in there and start selling a product to a community that I didn't even know. Um, I thought I'd just give it a go. So I joined another sober community, put the just a post out there that said anybody that wants to start running, drop me a message and I'll take you on a coaching plan from couch to 5K. And yeah, one of the first posts that came back was from a lady down south. I'm up there in the dark, miserable northern England, and this lady's from beautiful south, and says that she was interested in running, but yeah, it turned out that she wasn't really interested in the running. She was interested in more in myself, I think. And yeah, subsequently we met up, and yeah, we got married this year. So
Oh, congratulations. This is such a beautiful story. It's like it's just a testament to how your life can absolutely change in all areas just by choosing to believe that you can just improve everything.
yeah,
Just improve everything one step at a time, one step at a time. And how beautiful that, as we were talking about, you remained with your heart open, and you all you wanted was to just share what you created for yourself with other people. So now I know that you and your wife are they you do run the sober parenting because you decided to embrace this mission and help other people on their journey too. What made you both decide to do this together and help other people improve their lives?
yeah, it came off back of an email newsletter from my mentor that helped me out when I first started. The guy whose PDF I wrote, it were back in 20 November November 23. Um, I get his newsletter. I've been signed up to his newsletter since 2016. So I get it every single week or whenever he throws it out, and I just ignore it. Like I don't need it no more. And um, yeah, just for some reason, I opened this one particular newsletter, and it were offering coaching courses in 2024. Um, Positive psychology, get a diploma in positive psychology, and also get training in being an alcohol-free coach. And I said to my wife, so that'd be good for you, because I already had a business running at the time. Says that'd be good for you to do while you're at home this year. And she says, well, I think you'd be good at it. So we had the call with my mentor and said, look, we don't know anything about coaching, what it is, or all like that. We thought it was like a woo-woo type thing and all that. And he says, no, he says like you'd be brilliant at it. So we both signed up. We did his diploma, and in the summer of 2024, we decided to, yeah, we qualified as coaches, got his diploma in coaching. And I think it just all comes off at back of, once again, that feeling that there's a reason why I opened that email, because there were a reason why someone told me to stop drinking. And I feel it's weird as I look backwards further, I've, and it's only come to me in the last couple of weeks really, that I feel that someone said, you're going to drink to such an extreme and almost be on the brink of disaster, and then we're going to stop you.
Mm.
And then we're going to guide you to learn how to be sober. And then from that, that's going to be then your calling to help others and guide them on their path. And that's where the coaching came in. And that's like, that's where we're going next, and always giving back. And I feel that I feel in a great sense that our calling is to give back to people that want to get sober, or just give back to people in some sort of way, because we we feel we feel sometimes that we're not always appreciated, me and my wife, for who we are and what strong relationship we have. And we only see this when we speak to strangers. So just last week, we were speaking to a nursery mum that we met in a cafe. We knew her, we knew who her daughter was, but we've never had a chance to sit down and talk to her. And she was sat there waiting to go to this concert that we were going to as well for the nursery. And we got talking, and she came and joined us on table, and we sat there for about an hour talking. And that evening, we got a text message from her. She said, I found your number on the WhatsApp group. I just want to say thank you for taking your time out to talk to me today. And you and your husband have got an amazing relationship, and like you seem so supportive of each other. And it would just we clearly touch people
Mm.
that we talk to, and we'd like to be able to do that more. And we're starting next year with this business in 2025, hoping to help people to realize that living a life sober, not just as a parent, but as an individual as well, can be so much more rewarding than living a life where it's wine o'clock when the kids have gone to sleep. It's wine o'clock, and you feel you wake up the next morning feeling groggy, and you don't want to you don't really want to wake up. And it's we want to show people that there's more out there, and just by cutting something out, and it's always the last thing that anybody ever wants to cut out. No one wants to cut it out. Like
Mm.
I remember sitting there 2016, 31st of May, it were a bank holiday. I was drinking as much as I could get down my neck. It were like, when you've got a diet coming the next day, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to order a pizza tonight because I know that I won't be able to have that for the next 3 or 4 weeks while I'm on this diet. I were ordering as many drinks as I could to get down with, because I knew that on the 1st of June 2016, I were going to stop drinking. I didn't know that it was going to lead to where I am today. I always questioned, could I actually do a year of not drinking?
Mm.
And also question, what's my life going to be like? Like
Yeah.
all all you know when you're drinking is drinking. And
Mm.
so you don't know what else is out there, because you're consumed in your own little world of this is what I'm doing. So yeah, when I'm sat there thinking, I can't give up this stuff because it's all I know. All I know is going to work, going to the pub, and going to bed. That's basically it, and it will rinse and repeat. How am I going to actually live my life without having alcohol in it? And then skip to 6 months later when I'm on a run, and I remember doing a post saying, I've just I've just done this run, and I can see like colour.
Mm,
I can see flowers, and it were almost like the grey and the dark and everything had gone and parted, and I could start to see colour in trees in the lake. I could see, and it was like, why would I want to go back to it now? And
mm,
that's what's always carried me forward. And now I still use alcohol-free drinks as a tool to get me through. I was drinking alcohol-free drinks last night because we were having a bit of a gathering for pre-Christmas party. So yeah, I still use
yeah.
tools to help me get through that are alcohol like substitutes, but that helps me get through, and that's once in a while. It doesn't make me want to go back to it because I know now, in the 8 years that I've been sober, the 8.5 years that I've been sober now, I've done more in that 8.5 year period than I ever did in the 30 odd years previous to that.
Mm.
And I I can't wait to see how it accelerates for the next 5, 10 years and see where I end up and we end up, to be fair.
Absolutely. And just like you had to read about somebody's story to show you that there can be a different reality and there can be a different type of normality, you then created your own. And now, through your story and even through this interview, whoever will watch this interview, you may show other people that it is possible to change your life just by changing your habit, by becoming aware, by finding tools to help you, finding community support. And to everyone who's watching us, please check the description of this video to know how to connect with Karl, because he's doing some amazing work supporting so many people on their journey. And I absolutely believe that our stories, as we go through life and we share our stories, we help, we inspire just by sharing. And it's this playlist that I'm creating with beautiful intuitive creators is because of that, because I truly believe that when we change our life, why should we keep that story to ourselves? It's great to express, to share, and to someone who maybe is struggling with the drinking problem, maybe they can say that interview, that PDF, like you read, that book, that article really showed me that there is hope and there is a possibility to change my life. So I am very grateful for the fact that you continue to share your story and for the fact that you chose to do this with your wife together. To those people who are struggling now, and they think, oh, I'm so deep into it. I can't imagine myself changing my routine. I can't imagine myself like giving up my friends that I see every night. Like, how can I disconnect from them? Like, I don't even know where should I start from. What would you suggest as in like the first step that they can do to start bringing the awareness in their life and to activate that light of hope? What would be the first step that you would suggest?
The first step is similar to what I did for those 4 or 5 years before I even realized that sobriety was going to be my thing, which was doing a 30-day break. I've I've done plenty of. I did four or five 30-day breaks before I even knew that doing it, and having that realization that there's some people that have got. I call it like the switch, and I have it not just with alcohol. I have it, and people can relate to this. They have it in all sorts of areas of their life. Mine's still biscuits. Last night, I bought a packet of biscuits and I opened them up, and within the space of an hour and a half, that whole packet of biscuits had gone. And that's the switch that I've got, and it's the same, and it's the same switch that I had with alcohol. That if it was there and it was available, I'd drink it to excess until I could not physically take any more. And by taking a break over those years, I realized that if I don't put that switch on, so I don't put myself in that situation where there is a drink, then I'm not really bothered about it. But if I put myself in that situation, then I'm going to drink to excess, or I'm going to eat to excess. For instance, the packet of biscuits or the chocolate bar. And realizing I don't have a dimmer switch, so I can't moderate. So I'm either on or I'm off. And taking a 30-day break, 21-day break, whatever it may be that you take, for you then to realize that, oh, hang on a minute, if I haven't got it, I'm not bothered about it. But if I have got it, I'm going to drink it. I'm going to drink, or I'm going to eat to excess. If you can start to realize that you have that like addictive mentality, and that's how your chemistry is done. My wife's exactly the same. We never knew this before we got together, but she's exactly the same as me. And by not ever switching that switch on, we'll never have a drink again. And that's why when people say, "Oh, don't you miss it? Don't you think?" Yeah, like if I have that one drink, I will be in a darker hole than what I was in 2016 when I stopped. So why turn that switch back on? I'm enjoying my life as it is now. So yeah, that's what's
Thank you.
just take a small break, 21 days, 30 days, and just see if you've got that mentality and see if you can break it.
That's great advice. Thank you for sharing it with all of us and to everyone who's watching us. Let us know your thoughts. Connect with Karl. Take a moment to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you so much, Karl, for being here today with us, and thank you to everyone who watched this episode.